All right, what's up, guys? My name is Mike Banks. I'm the Chief Operations Officer at Fund&Grow. I'm also a real estate investor. And one question that a lot of clients tend to have when they're getting into real estate, when they're starting to do wholesaling, is what's the difference and how do I decide whether to do a double close or just do an assignment fee on the contract? And I've dealt with this before, and it could sometimes be somewhat of a sensitive subject. So the way I go about figuring out whether I'm going to just do an assignment fee or if I have to double close and pay closing costs, the way I figure that out is based on the difference, based on the spread from my purchase price that I have with the seller versus the amount I'm able to get the buyer to agree to, right? So if I have, like right now, I'm actually closing on a deal this month. I got it under contract for 70,000, sent it out to my buyers list for 88,000, had a showing on Sunday and had a couple buyers come. They were interested to buy it at 88,000. Two buyers were really interested. And it turned out to be a bidding war. I called the next day. I called one buyer. He says he'll do it for 88. The other one says he'll do it for 89. The other one says he'll do it for 90. And then I finished with the last one, who's going to take it for 91,000. I've collected the deposit on it. Now it's time to decide. Do I just do an assignment fee for $21,000? So the buyer will then know before we close, the buyer will know I'm making 21,000. The buyer will see the contract I have with the seller, and the buyer then at that point might feel some type of way about me making $21,000 and all I'm doing is assigning a fee. All I had to do was find the deal, put it under contract at a good price, find a buyer, line up the buyer, and now I've got $21,000 in profit that I can make. The problem with that is the buyer, depending on the relationship I have with him, that buyer might not like the idea that I'm making $21,000 and I'm not even having to do any work to the house at all. So it's a sensitive area and you have to just kind of play it by ear with each buyer. It's going to be different. Typically, the rule of thumb is around $10,000 spread, $10,000 difference. And in that case, you're going to usually want to do a double close once you get over the $10,000 difference. So if I have it at 70,000 and I was only able to sell for 80,000, in that case, I might just do an assignment fee and have my buyer sign an assignment agreement, which then gives him the rights to the contract that I have with the seller. So in that case, the buyer gets to see the contract and they get to know how much I'm making, what my assignment fee is going to be well before we close. So that's why you would, when you get over 10,000 with your difference with your fee, that's when you got to start considering doing a double close. So it's going to cost you a few grand in closing costs, but at least that way the buyer and the seller aren't going to know what you're making on it until the very last day. And the only way the buyer's going to really know what you're making on it is if you use the buyer's money to fund the entire deal, the entire transaction. So what's cool about it here in Florida, I'm not sure how it is everywhere else, but I'm able to do a double close, which means I'll close on the deal with the seller, the A to B transaction. And that way they have no idea what I'm making, the seller. And then when I do the transaction with the buyer, if I'm using the buyer's money to fund the transaction, the buyer at the very end, when we've got the HUD created and the closing statement and all that, then the buyer is going to be able to see that at the very end. He'll see the little difference in the fee that I'm making on the closing statement. Now, that's usually not that big of a deal, but it can be for some people. Now, a lot of the bigger wholesaling companies and investors are going to close on the deal themselves and fund the deal themselves. And I've personally done this before. So, for example, I had a buyer who bought one property from me here in Tampa, and I used his money to fund the double close. And I didn't know at that point that if I do that, he's going to see what I make because we share a closing statement in that case. So he realized that I made like 10 grand or 13 grand or whatever it was. I got it for 115 and I sold it for 128. So after closing costs, I ended up making around 10,000. And he saw that. So he says to me, all right, Mike, I've got another one of my buyer friends. They're interested in another deal. If you've got one, just make sure you give us a good price because you've already got a lot of my money. And so he's referring to the $10,000 that he saw on the closing statement. So on the next deal, They did bring me another buyer. I got him another deal here in Tampa in the Citrus Park area. And I sold that deal for $207,500. And I had it under contract for 191.5 or 190,000, 195, I believe. Let me check. Yeah, so I had it for 190 and I sold it so I basically had a $17,500 spread. That's what I remember. I'm not sure exactly what my purchase price was. So instead of me using the buyer's money to fund the deal, he would have known what I was making on it. I had to fund that one myself. So that was a little different for me because that was the first one that I funded myself. And the double close was supposed to happen the same day, and then it ended up happening the day after. So it was a little sketchy. But the truth of the matter is, if you have the money and you have a big spread like that, you should definitely be doing a double close because you don't want your buyer to get, salty at you because you're making 20 grand, 15, whatever it is. Because then on the next deal, if they're going to be the buyer, they're going to most likely offer you a little bit lower than what you're asking because they already know you're in the business of making 10,000 plus assignment fees. And so, that's something that I always try to hide. So the difference between a double close and an assignment fee is the fact that one, you're going to have closing costs on a double close that you're going to have to pay. With an assignment fee, there's no closing cost to you. Only your buyer pays that. But on a double close, you're going to have to pay the closing costs with your seller because most wholesalers are offering to pay all closing costs. And then when you sell it to your buyer, hopefully you can get the buyer to agree to pay his closing costs, and then you're only paying it once. So the assignment fee is nice for $5,000 deals, where you got a $5,000 spread on it or difference from your purchase price to your sale price. In those cases, you can easily do an assignment fee. But a lot of the bigger wholesalers, a lot of people that are actually doing deals, they're all buying, they're closing on all their deals. So once you get to that level, then I definitely recommend that. But for all the people that are just starting out, assignment fees, wholesaling properties, not required to have any of your own money to do it. All you got to do is find a deal, drive around your neighborhood, look for deals, look for fixer-uppers, look for houses that have high grass. The paint is looking like shit. The roof looks like it's broken down. Obvious signs that the house needs work. You go and you get that address. And I'm going to give you another idea. There's an app called the Deal Machine app. You can get this app. You pull up to the property. You take a picture of it, put the address into your app, send the direct mail directly from the app at one click of a button. You've now contacted the homeowner. You can also skip trace them right there. Skip tracing, for those of you that don't know, what that means is you take the address of a home and you find out who the owner is and you find out the phone number. And there's a skip tracing feature built into this app. So driving for dollars, finding houses that look like shit, contacting the homeowner, negotiating a price, getting them at a decent price based on the market value, which is this, compared to what you want to pay for it based on the fact that it needs $20,000, $30,000 in rehab repairs, renovations. So if it needs 20 to 30,000, you're going to get under contract for about 70,000. You'll put 20 into it, but then you'll be able to resell it for about 150. That's a good rule of thumb. Always try to get them close to 50% of the after repair value, and then you'll have a deal. Now, if it doesn't need that much work, you don't need to be right at the 50% of the market value, but that's a good rule of thumb I found. If you're pretty much near that 50% mark, where it will be, worth after it's repaired, 50% of that, you're golden. Get that deal under contract and then put it on Facebook, put it on the marketplace on Facebook, put it on, everywhere you can. Send it out to your buyers list. If you don't have a buyers list, and you should start establishing a buyers list, which is really easy to do. All you do is go on Craigslist, go Section 8, call the landlords, call the for sale by owners, ask them if they're ever going to be in the market for any more discounted off market properties. Tell them that you'll send the one that you've got. Boom, you'll find yourself a buyer and you'll make a nice spread of money. And, I recommend this to anyone who's out there looking to make more money, looking to do more with their lives and not just work their 9 to 5. So I wanted to make this video just to clear up some of the confusion between an assignment fee and a double close. An assignment fee is much less, you're less involved. There's no closing costs for you. All you got to do is find a buyer, have them sign the assignment agreement, and that's it. And you're golden now with the double close, a little bit more cost, but it gives you that privacy factor so that your buyer doesn't know how much money you're making on the deal. And that will allow you to continue to sell your properties at a high price without those buyers feeling some type of way about you making 15, 20,000 on the deals. So that's all I have for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be bringing out some more videos on real estate, investing, education. And so if you like the video, smash the like button, subscribe, click the notification bell so that you're alerted when we put out new videos. And remember, you can fund all of your deals using business credit lines. So if you're interested in getting business credit lines, there'll be a link in the description. You can book a call. We'll tell you what you pre-qualify for and explain how you can use business credit lines to become a cash buyer, not just a wholesaler. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one. Peace.